small groups. Welcome to week 2 of our By Faith series, Thriving in a World That is Dividing. This week's big idea says, despite what you may have heard on your TV televangelist in 1980s, the life of faith is not designed to simply position us to receive stuff from God. Rather, the life of faith is about living an adventure. It gives you the power to overcome and to persevere. This week, we learned how faith is the fuel, the principal instrument we use in order to live God's adventure for our life. And this week, we are here with Josh Brown. Thanks for coming and just starting our small groups group chat off. And so basically, this whole week was just about the topic of faith and what is it? What does it look like? What does it look like to live that out in our life? So give me a little example of like what you see faith as, like definition.
Well, I mean, when I think about the word faith, I think of like when somebody asks you about your Christian life or whatever, they might say like, when did you come to faith in Christ? Or when was the moment that you put your faith in Jesus or whatever? But like, I think the better answer to that is like, I put my faith in Jesus this morning and, in the car on the way here, rather than it just being a specific moment in time where you did it for the first time. What I'm learning through this series, and I hope you're learning too, is that faith is a continual decision-making process of okay, I'm going to choose to have faith here and at this point and in this circumstance, not just an isolated moment several years ago or several months ago, whatever.
Right. Yeah. I even know the first week of the series at Belton, Pastor Dylan was preaching and he was talking about we put faith in, the chair we're sitting in to no, it's going to hold our weight. Hopefully they made it well enough, and have faith that they do that. And so, absolutely. We put our faith in everything, multiple things every day. So absolutely. But as far as our faith in God and that walk in our life, where do you feel has there been a season or a specific moment or time in your life where you're I truly had to rely on faith in God, that he had it, he had me, he had the situation?
I did a trust fall when I was 8 years old at summer camp. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, that is kind of the ultimate object lesson is for a trust fall, you have to trust. And I think faith and trust are similar, and trust requires testing. Like when God talks about tithing, for instance, when we put our trust in him, it's us testing what he's going to do. And faith is a similar thing, just like a trust fall. But I can think of a season where I was thinking about going to Bible college, thinking about making a move and going to a different state in a different city that I'd never really been to a lot. And so that was a big kind of faith test because I didn't know where the money was going to come from. I didn't know any of that. But for some reason, I just knew that was the next step and the next right thing. And so even though I didn't really know how it was going to work out, much like Abraham in the message this week about how he was moving from place to place and kind of parking in places that he wouldn't necessarily want to park. But it was because God was leading him just one step at a time. And for me, that one step was going to Bible college. And so I went. Again, didn't know how it was going to work out, but God really, did a work in me while I was there, and that's where I met my wife, and it was worth it for that. And so just that one kind of step in life, that's just one of many examples, but definitely that was a moment where I really had to put my faith to the test, and I really had to put it up against something and say, you know what, this could only work out if God intervenes. This could only work out if God is in control, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, and I think that's totally right. I think God truly does reveal step by step. I think, most of the time we want to see the full puzzle, the full picture, but we really just get that piece. And you're okay, I'm going to have faith with this piece that you're putting things into action. And so that's super good. I love that analogy. And I think it lines up with the verse in the Bible that talks about he's a lamp to our feet, and a light for our path. It truly is. He's lighting up just one step at a time. We don't get to see the whole path in front of us, kind of a thing. So that's super good. Well, I'm going to release it back to your small group leaders. I hope you guys enjoy talking about what those steps have looked like in your life and might be looking like in the future. So have a great discussion this week.